Welcome to Out the Gate. This is where you usually get the weekend's best racing intel in 30 minutes, more or less. But this week, a bit of a special edition. This is the Out the Gate World Pool preview for Hong Kong International Day this Sunday at Sha Tin. As always, joined by Racenet's Gilbert, Gardiner. Gil, big day's not too far away.
G'day, Alex. No, absolutely. We're pumped for this. We've been waiting, track work the last 3 days, 72 hours away. Can't wait.
And of course, on the special edition of Out the Gate, we need to bring in the big guns from Square in the Air. We need a European expert to help talk us through some of these Europeans. Tom Marriott joined us. G'day, Tom.
Thank you very much. Big guns are over here somewhere, but yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course, we will take you through all 4 Group 1s this weekend. We'll go in racebook order because it is the Vars, the Sprint, the Mile and the Cup. The barrier draws have just been done, so they're really fresh in our memories. But before we do get started, make sure you do follow Racenet on social media. The socials are at Racenet Tweets. A lot of stuff has been going up over the past couple of days, as well as the YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, so anytime we do a video, it does pop up. But of course, most importantly, bet with the World Pool this weekend and the Hong Kong Jockey Club, because all 4 Group 1 races this weekend are World Pool events. Boys, 10 races on the card, 3:25 Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I don't know what time that'll be in London. It'll be nice and early over there, but we've got a nice Sunday afternoon for the punters back home.
Yeah, we're 8 hours behind Hong Kong over in the UK, so yeah, somebody remind me. Yeah, something like that. It'll be an early start, but obviously this race, which we'll run through, is the one where the British punters and the Irish and the French, the European punters will want to get stuck in. So this is probably the main interest piece for the European punters, yeah.
That being race number 4, the Hong Kong Vars. So it's 2:10 at local time here, 5:10 back home in Australia. We're going to take a look at a couple of replays here, boys. Notably for the Australian point of view, we do have Al Riffa. This is 2 starts ago in the Irish St. Legend. I think this is more important, given this is over 2,800. And Tom, I suppose you can take us through this one. He just jogs up to him. I know it's 2,800, but back to 1.5 miles here. It does look suitable on good depth.
No, I don't want to cut this to pieces, but this isn't the greatest Group 1. It's over a mile 6, 2,800. He stays well. Clearly he stays well. But this isn't a top draw Group 1 middle distance race. When you look at the others in the field, which we'll come on to, they do have that top class Group 1 middle distance, mile 4, 2,400 metre form. I don't feel that Al Riffa's running the Irish St. Ledger there is that top class of piece of form.
And Gil, we saw him in the Melbourne Cup, just got a mile back, did run home quite well, carried top weight. What did we take out of the Melbourne Cup run? It was almost a non-event.
Well, I might have to change my tip because I got Al Riffa on top. I've got to fly the flag for the Australian team. The only Australian, no, not the only, Docklands is also Australian owned. But no, look, the Melbourne Cup, I thought it was a super run given the circumstances. Drew wide, so basically game over from that point onwards. Drew 19 from memory in the Melbourne Cup and had to go back. No choice, ridden for luck, big weight. Now, history said you don't win Melbourne Cups with those sort of weights. I know they backed him for a stack. The problem is the weight is a factor in a race like the Melbourne Cup. So I was really happy. He ran as well as he could. He ran the 3rd quickest closing sectionals in the Melbourne Cup. He did storm home late to run 6 or 7. Never really threatened.
Yep.
The other part is I think this year especially was actually a really decent, strong Melbourne Cup. So not across the St. Ledger form and how that stacks up over the world class, but I think the Melbourne Cup this year was quite a strong race. I think Half Yours is a serious proper horse in the making. Could be a Cox Plate winner next year. But yeah, look, so I'm sticking with him, but hand on heart, there is a little bit of patriotism involved there. Los Angeles is the one for me. I think he's the horse that could jump out of the ground here on a fast deck. Ryan Moore, we saw what he got up to at Happy Valley on Wednesday. And I just would want to have something on Los Angeles just to upset the apple cart a bit.
Well, we are going to talk about him. So we're going to look at the arc here. Los Angeles is about to fall out the back of the TV, but you do have Sosi and Giavoletto running 3rd and 4th here. And Tom, for Giavoletto, rain on the day, rain on Friday. This is an excellent performance, and Sosi was really good too.
Yeah, look, we'll talk Giavoletto, Sosi in this 3rd and 4th battle as they finished up. But quickly to touch on Los Angeles, I agree, rock solid, but he doesn't look the greatest on the track here at the moment. Looks a bit sweaty and a little bit tetchy, and we'll have to bear that in mind. As you see him cross the line here, Giavoletto just headed out a bit by Sosi. He was 3rd. Giavoletto had to settle the 4th on ground that was definitely a bit soft, a bit too much cut underfoot for
running sideways on that replay.
Exactly. Giavoletto will be suited here by the better surface. Sosi might be as well, though. He's by Sea the Stars. They think that he'll want a decent surface. A lot of that soft ground form that you see in the race in his form lines through France is actually a bit sort of deceiving.
Yeah.
The ground isn't actually usually as bad as it says on the race card, and Sosi will probably appreciate the better ground too. I think Sosi might just have the edge on Giavolotto still, but those two I like in there, yeah.
Yeah, I did like Giavolotto's win, obviously, in September Stakes, but I thought the Pre-4 is probably a stronger form line coming into a race like this for Sosi. So I think from a gambling angle, which is what we're here to do, is I think for the punt, I think Giavolotto will be well found, given he was here last year and won. And Sosi might, we might get $4 or $5 on the day.
Yeah, they're looking at similar price as we approach the race day. And as you say, Giavolotto was the time to back him last year when he was 8s or 9s. And this year he's going to be 11 to 4 or whatever he's going to be. And, around sort of 3 or 4 on the world pool. And he's going to be founded by the Hong Kong punters now. So the value angle is kind of dried up a bit.
Top tip?
I'm going to go Sosi win. And I think the Los Angeles, an each way shout, but the one that we haven't mentioned is a local horse very quickly. Bundle Award.
Yep.
He's got some really impressive sectionals, and you don't want to write off the locals just because they're not usually up there with the middle distance European lot. But the sectionals look good. They're hard to take on in their own backyard. He might be a bigger price, Bundle Award.
Gil, give us your top 4.
Yeah, look, Al Riffa and Los Angeles, as we said, Giavolotto and Sosi not really going too far off the reservation there. I was going to say to Tom, after being at Happy Valley during the week, I got involved with the Quinella place. I'm a big fan of this little bet. And so Bundle Awards, the little smoky. J-Mac obviously this week has spent all week talking about Romantic Warrior. Every time you speak to him, he finds a way to include Bundle Award in the conversation. So I just think, look, I'm not, I don't think he can knock off the top 3 or 4, but I think he could definitely run a cheeky race.
So I've got Sosi on top from Giavolotto. I got Al Riffa in there, but geez, you might have talked me out of it there. And Los Angeles, but Sosi on top in the Vars. For me, the next race, it's one of the feature races of the day. It's probably the most exciting one for Australian punters to watch. Kaying Rising goes around here. He's going to start $1.10. But boys, has the barrier draw, barrier 1 for Kaying Rising, has it thrown a little bit of a spice to the plot, shall we say?
For me, definitely. I think everyone wants to see him break nicely, settle, and then be asked to do his thing from kind of just slightly off the pace to sort of in the van. What's he going to do from 1?
Yeah.
With, I think it was Craig Williams and...
Craig Williams, J-Mac, Ryan Moore have drawn 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, and then you only go out to Brendan Abdullah and Hugh Bowman out. So he's going to have a rough ride from 1. And it's not going to be straightforward. Look, if he slots into a handy enough position, Zach has the buttons and he presses go and it should be job done. But it's going to be a messier, rougher test than people would have expected.
So, Gil, while you're talking, we'll watch his last start where he did sit outside the leader and he just absolutely killed him here in the Jockey Club Sprint. But Barrier 1 got you a little bit excited because you're the guy, you like to try and shoot Bambi. You're wishing Jimmy Star was here right now.
Oh, where is Jimmy? If Jimmy was here, hot speed and messy race, and he'd be smoking the pipe, storming down the outside. Shout out to Ethan Brown. He'd be absolutely tickled pink if Jimmy Star was here. But that's that's as easy as that's a barrier trial right there.
Better than the Everest.
What we just saw, that was better than the Everest. The Everest we know didn't really go to plan for them. I'm not sure whether he was right at his best in travelling to Sydney and how he went there, but he was still good enough to beat our best on the day. I think clearly it's added spice. We've spoken to David Hayes just straight after the barrier draw, so we're a bit late recording this, and he's not concerned. Of course, he's not going to come out and say, well, I'm torpedoed. He did make a point. The fear is he could get boxed in. He could get cluttered up, and he's got the season camp, the real competitive, like J-Mac, a penny for his thoughts right now. He'd be sitting back in the hotel or in his apartment looking, going,
about 500 metres that way.
Oh boy, have I got a bit of a shot to play.
Do you not think Craig Williams will try and upset it as well? This is peak Willow for everyone back home, just jumping, crossing instantly. J-Mac sits himself there, and there's Ryan Moore, probably 2 pairs back, looking, going, I'm in a good spot here on Satono Rev.
And I think the other one is Helios Express, Hugh Bowman. I mean, he's going to be sitting, smoking the pipe, watching all this unfold. Yep. He'll be able to get a drop on these people. And if it does get messy, a horse like Helios Express, who I had in for 3rd, might have to be promoted now. But no, Kaying, you don't win as many races as he done without being a very classy horse.
Talk to us about Kadem as well.
I'm interested to hear that 2 Aussie boys don't want to cover a British sprinter.
We've seen US Navy flag come for an Everest. I don't think he's finished yet.
Yeah, look, we haven't got the finest crop of sprinters in the world. Everyone knows that. Asphora took our lot to pieces over the summer, and that
she wouldn't get us to.
But look, Cardem, right? He blows hot and cold. Put it that way. Just watch out for him on the day. If he's nice and settled behind the stalls and they load him late, he could pounce. He's pretty speedy. He likes quick ground. He's got better gate speed now. He's been in America for his last few starts. 3rd in the Breeders' Cups, not to be sniffed at. on the day. If he's settled, if he's calm, if he goes into the stall as well, he's in there with a squeak. Barrier 13 is not great, but I spoke to Charlie Hills after the draw, and he said he'd rather it was wider than in the box like Kai Ying is. Not written off, but keep an eye out for this horse on the day. He's quirky.
So my top 4, Kai Ying Rising from Fast Network, Satono Rev and Helios Express. It's really ABCD right there. Of course, Kai Ying Rising, if all goes well, he should be winning, and it'll be an enjoyable watch, you'd hope.
Yeah, that's right. Look, we're here, we're part of the spectacle, isn't it? You actually want him to win. Yeah, you want him to win. You want to see the crowd roll.
Him overcoming would be like a one-row Australian Cup would be fantastic.
Oh, wouldn't it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Well, the memories. But, look, I've gone Kai Ying on top. Satono Reeve in for second, Helios Express third, and Lucky Swainess. Nothing really to write home about.
Let's get to the Hong Kong Mile. Take a look at the replays to start off with. We'll go through them first of all. So here's Romantic Warrior kicking away. You've got Soul Rush about to get over heels with the big baldy face. This is his last run this weekend, so he's cranked up, ready to go. But take us through this race if you can, Tom, because there is a couple of Europeans here as well. Obviously, Japanese have a big hand in it too.
Yeah, look, decent race. I think sort of essentially panned out as we'd expect, really. Nothing down all the way to the line there. Obviously, not exactly Romantic Warrior's ideal trip, but in terms of the race and what's in there this year, I think it's actually quite weak.
Yep.
The mile and the kind of European challenges, the two that I've scribbled down really to talk about. One's the Line in Winter and two's Bavatier in France. Firstly, the Line in Winter, he was kind of campaigned and prepped to be a Derby horse right over the 2,400 back in June. Didn't work out. He's not a middle distance horse. He was also a little bit sick earlier in the season.
Okay.
Had a couple of months, didn't come to hand. They dropped him right back in trip. His skin's looking better. His condition's looking better. Out on the track work, he's the same as Los Angeles, unfortunately. Bit tetchy, bit sweaty, but his condition's better. The last 3 runs, I think he's finished second, third, and third in 3 Group 1s. That's pretty solid form. And this horse is kind of 16s or 20s in some of the anti-post markets. He might be a price on the Whirlpool on the day, whether the home crowd here gets stuck in or not in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I like the Line in Winter. I think he's fit. I think he's kind of not necessarily peaking, but he's better. He's better now than he was earlier in the season. Bavatier very quickly stepping up to the mile, first time in a long, long time.
I'll be honest, I've never heard of this trainer.
Well, yeah, well, he's not great. I'm not understaying. He's not formidable.
Okay,
but what he has done is he's campaigned this horse quite lightly. And he brought him to Newmarket on his last start, and he just polished performance. Didn't really have to come out 4th gear. Alexis Pouchin just asked for a bit, and he stretched away by a couple of lengths. That was a decent run. Wasn't the strongest race, but what it showed to me was they're just kind of getting him ready for something.
Okay.
And he's a 6 furlong, 7 furlong horse, really. He's stepping up to the mile 1600 for the first time in a long time. He's got the gears. He's got the speed. I don't know whether he quite sees it out, but he is a 33, 40-1 show. He'll be big on the toe, be big on the Whirlpool. I think he's worth a roll of the dice.
And we're going to look at our next replay here, which is the lead-up. It's the Jockey Club Mile. What's not seen in this is in the first half of the race, My Wish was a bit slow. He started $1.40 here, over-raced. You can see Luke Ferraris cuddling him up the fence. Look back towards the inside. There's J-Mac on old Galaxy Patch getting up the inside. We'll see Voyage Bubbles run later, but here's J-Mac getting up the fence late. I want to take a lot out of My Wish's run here. 5 weeks between runs. He over-raced. He was the only one on speed to finish off. You can see the horses inside him now that are falling out the back of the TV. J-Mac just gives this thing an absolute treat of a ride, and it gets up in the last ride. And My Wish has only run over the last 100. He's drawn gate 2. Provided he doesn't over-race, he can put himself there. We saw it his first 2 runs at the start of the season and kick away at the top of the straight. And if he can do that, I think some of these horses are on the way down. He's on the way up. But it just depends off if Embroidery, if she's breathing fire, that's the one, and I have it, and I've got her in my top 4.
He's got some fantasy section as My Wish, but I just wonder, a race like that, is that really strong enough to win a Group 1 mile against, the overseas challenges?
Yep.
That's my question. And the same with Galaxy Patch and Voyage Bubble. Voyage Bubble's getting a little bit older. There's a hole there, possibly.
Yeah.
Galaxy Patch has got bags of Group 2s, but not the Group 1.
He needs a ride like that to win, I think.
And he needs a ride like that to win. I think there are holes in those leading ones in the market, and that's why I've looked for a couple of those European outsiders.
Gil, you're probably going to go with Dockland somewhere?
No, not in my top 4, actually, but no, shout out to OTI. They do a great job as well buying these horses, and wouldn't you love to be an owner of Docklands? You've basically travelled the world to go to race meetings. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's great. He always runs well. Look, he's a sneaky top 5 chance, is Docklands. Again, I need to go a bit off the reservation a bit, don't I? Galaxy Patch, Voyage Bubble, tell you what, you have not stopped speaking about My Wish all week, so I had to throw it into third just in case you might be right. You were hot at Happy Valley. And Patch of Theta is my smoky Willow. I think Willow might be able to run a cheeky race in this. This is his type of race. We know he's the mile king in Australia with Mr. Brightside. He can pull off a mile here, no problem at all. And look, the horse just keeps running consistently, so that's in my top 4.
So I've got My Wish on top from Soul Rush because he's cranked up. They have been letting him rip up the turf this week.
The way the Japanese work is mad, isn't it?
Oh, it is. He did 3 laps of the all-weather track yesterday and he let rip up the straight today. This is a kitchen sink job. He is retired after Sunday, so no ounce of improvement left in him. He's obviously knocked off Romantic Warrior. That's world-class form. Embroidery, I think 2000's her go, but she's a high-class filling. She looks really well here. And I've thrown Galaxy Patch in now that he's drawn soft in gate 5. J-Mac just puts him to sleep back in the field. Looks for the miracle run, but you're looking like you're playing with Lion and Winter, maybe?
I think the Lion and Winter and Bavatier both have nice outside shots. Aside from that, it's probably My Wish if he puts it all together. It probably is My Wish if he puts it all together. Voyage Bubble is
shorty.
He is. I just think that really the likes of Voyage Bubble and Galaxy Patch, they're a little bit exposed and vulnerable to that improver. My Wish hasn't quite shown it for me yet, but he could be. So I'd probably just dazzle him in there with those 2 European outsiders.
Too easy. Let's get to the main event of the day. It is the Hong Kong Cup. Romantic Warrior going for 4 in a row. Straight into the replay here. Here's Romantic Warrior. First up off a bout of surgery, off the travelling to Dubai and Saudi. They crawled the first 1,600 metres here. Zach Purton's given Voyage Bubble a treat, and J-Mac's like, how good is this? I've just got to sprint up 400 metres, and Gil, it was just good to see him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And, J-Mac was saying
ridiculous.
That's his nerve. And, you look at this horse's record. He's run 19 of 26, including 10 at the highest level. And this was as nervous as they've been going into a race because, I guess, coming off a setback, coming off injury, this horse is a champion. He's a world champion, really. He's performed everywhere. It was great at the barrier draw. The owners basically saying, bring on Rumble in the Jungle going to Japan. I mean, how good's this? These are the horses.
Going to be more of a dust up in the desert.
Yeah, I was saying the Storm in the Sands.
Yeah, good.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. But these are the horses that get people into racing, isn't it? All around the world, you start following these horses. I've bought my plushies. I've got loaded up with Romantic Warrior plushies. I'm all aboard the Romantic Warrior train. Cox Plate winner, of course. Yes. So look, he's the one. He's obviously in the same vein as Kaying Rising. He's the one we want a similar ride like this from J-Mac, and we want to hear this crowd roar for Romantic Warrior.
And let's have a quickly look at the next replay here. This is a different one. This is Bellagio Opera in the Oscar High. He runs a dead set world record. He absolutely smacks him over 2,000 metres. This is at Hanshin earlier this year. He's about to pop over heels now. He's in the black nose roll, and he just races away for a strong victory. First up here. Now, they've said they've avoided the heat in Japan, and this is why he's first up. I don't know about that. To me on the track, and I've already done my numbers, I don't know how to feel about him at the moment.
Yeah, well, the Japanese media that I've spoken to, the first horse that they've mentioned is Bellagio Opera. Yep. They've said this isn't a stellar group of Japanese horses that are coming to contend the HKR races this year, but if there was one, he was top of the pile. They admit they're taking on Romantic Warrior, so they kind of conceded a little bit because I think, the replay you just showed, Romantic Warrior, for me was one of the best I've seen given the layoff. So he's going to be hard to beat, but this horse is top of the pile for the Japanese Raiders, I think.
We've got a couple of Euros in this as well. Obviously, this field's down to 7. We've got Galen and Quisasana. So I've got Quisasana in my top 4. Gil's got Galen in there. So sort of take us through there. I thought Quisasana's form is quite strong for this.
Yeah, look, Quisasana, there's been some pretty strong words around her. We know the trainer, Francois-Henri Graffard, is riding the crest of the wave at the moment. And there's been a lot of positive said about Quisasana. Of the two, Quisasana's slightly more proven. If anything, there's slightly more hype around her. And as we say, the trainer's absolutely, his star's really rising at the moment. Galen, to be honest with you, hasn't shown it yet. But he's open to that improvement. That curve is potentially there. But from what we've seen on paper, you'd have to take Quisasana over the two.
Gil, he'll probably end up in Australia given his connections.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it seems like a fair bit of Australian connections. We've seen those colours down there. Berkshire Breeze, you might have mentioned similar colours. So, yeah, look, Galen, for me, I think he's likely leader. He might just get it his own way up front. Everyone's probably going to be looking around to see what J-Mac's doing on Romantic Warrior. Dylan Brown McMonagle might be able to just pinch a nice, easy run. And look, he's not going to win, but I think he can run a cheeky race. So I've got him in for second for my Quinella Place play. Bellagio Opera in for third, and Straight Aaron again. Will, I feel like I'm playing around Willow a fair bit, but he is racing at Pakenham, of course, on Saturday. going straight to Sydney.
He's got to fly to Sydney to get here, not
To
flying
get
to Hong
here.
Kong.
Gets in here at 4 a.m. Sunday, a little bit of shut-eye, come to the track, and hopefully rides a good result. So if he's, he's really excited to be over here on Sunday as well. So I've included him. He's not making all this way for nothing, but all eyes on Romantic Warrior. I mean, he's the one you wanting to win by 6.
Anything that you reckon can fill in the placings? You look like you landed Quisasana and maybe Bellagio Opera.
Yeah, I'd have to be the 1-2-7 there. Romantic Warrior, bang on top. He just gives every time. J-Mac asks. Bellagio Opera, when there is a horse that's top of the Japanese pile, they've got to be fairly well respected. And as I say, Quisasana's been a fairly hyped horse, and the trainers are, in great form. So Quisasana in a place probably third.
So that's my top 3 with Roshan Park in for 4th. Obviously ran well in a Breeders' Cup. Came to Australia. Didn't perform at his best, but they seem pretty happy with him as well. But yeah, that's the top 4 there. Maybe the Quinella Place, Bellagio Opera, and Quisasana. Try and get something out of there for Gil. But we'll just quickly touch on the news, Gil. Just everything going up every day. Then maybe go to chat with Ryan Moore that's already up online. Dylan Brown McGonigal is out there as well. And I believe there's a feature on J-Mac in the paper this weekend.
Yeah, so J-Mac, I mean, the most talked about person here in Hong Kong, isn't he? I mean, every single journo around the country be making news everywhere. But no, it's great to speak to J-Mac. We know what he thinks of this horse. Romantic Warrior is the greatest. He's had, from memory, I think he said he's had 5 horses that have won 8 or more Group 1s for him. Like proper champion horses. And this bloke's
Imagine
right.
doing that. So that's 40 Group 1s across 5 horses.
Yeah.
Like, come on, mate.
Yeah, and this bloke's right at the top of the pops. So, words with J-Mac. Dylan Brown, it was good to run into him today here at Sha Tin. He came in to have a look. Obviously, we know him from back in Australia. He served a couple of stints with Kieran Maher and David Eustace primarily. I mean, what a great career trajectory. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's won 5 Group 1s. He's won a Pawson Ledger apparently, but he did go to the US. I think he's won a Breeders' Cup as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
So, for Willie. So he's ridden riding in Hong Kong on Sunday will be his 10th jurisdiction in 6 years or 6 seasons. I mean, it's incredible the work he's putting in. He's obviously got the good support with Joseph. He was with him since he was 16 years old. So he's got the great platform there. But I mean, I'm really impressed. Every time I speak to Dylan Brown McMonagle, he looks like he's a jockey that we'll be talking about for the next 15, 20 years.
There's a lad back home in the UK, Billy Lockman.
He just came out here.
He's just ridden 200 wins in the season. He's 19, I believe, not 18 or 19, which is obviously an impressive feat for him. But Dylan's 22, and he's kind of got the similar feeling around him. And I feel that in years to come, they're going to be having a few ding-dongs. It'll be Dylan Brown against Billy Lockman. But yeah, Dylan, let's look out for him on Sunday. It'll be exciting.
Of course, we can give you a bit of a plug as well, the Punters Podcast as well, which, is not patent pending from our punters in Australia, of course, but the Punters Pod for a bit of update on Hong Kong International from your point of view as well.
Yeah. So the Punter Podcast runs alongside the City AM newspaper in London. We come out every Tuesday, Wednesday with kind of an anti-post view on the weekend's racing. The chief tipster there, Bill Esdale, he does put up some crackers. If you like your jumpers as well, he put up a 66-1 shot at Cheltenham last year. So yeah, every week they're at the Punter Pod if you want to give that a follow. And we'll have a Hong Kong special coming out later this week as well with a few interviews from connections we've picked up over the last couple of days. So all good.
So as said, please get along to the social media channels. Of course, it is at Raceday Tweets on Twitter, of course, on Facebook and Instagram. So at Raceday. And make sure you do like and subscribe on the YouTube. Please go to Raceday as well across the weekend. A lot of written articles from Gil. My written preview will be up on the weekend. No best bet as of yet. The fields have just dropped. We'll do a video on that probably tomorrow afternoon. But Tom, thanks for jumping on, mate.
Thank you very much.
Gil, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And of course, thank you to the friends of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Of course, bet with the world in the World Port this weekend for Hong Kong International Race Day. We'll catch you next time on Out the Gate.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.